Hey, my name is Thomas and today I want to show you something nice from the Eastern Bloc. Praktica, the standard camera from Eastern Germany. Let's go! So the Prakticas, pretty basic cameras, but nonetheless very functional. It's got a pretty quick shutter with metal blades, a sync speed of 1/25 of a second, but the shutter sound, as you can hear, and operating the film advance, it all feels a little bit basic, a little bit clunky, and it's got this working aperture metering, so by pressing this lever it closes down the aperture and takes a meter reading, but it's also very functional. M42 mount, which was state of the art still in 1969 when these came out. So yeah, let's load it now, and it's all pretty straightforward. I've got this Agfa APX 100 black and white film, which is the only film you get these days in the drugstores, where you can still buy film, but only this one sort of film. It's cheap though, costs $4.50 a roll. So what you do here, you try to fiddle this under this and also under here. This is what Praktica calls the quick loading system. But we are ready to shoot. Actually, the Eastern German camera industry has a lot of heritage. Zeiss, for example, they were located in Jena, which was Eastern Germany after the Second World War. Or the famous Exacta, the first ever SLR to enter mass production, save for the Russian sport, but that's something to debate. The Exacta was also made in Eastern Germany already in 1936. And a lot of these different companies existed mainly in the south of Eastern Germany, around Jena, and then they funded these big public-owned corporations like Pentacon Dresden, for example, and this is where the Praktica comes from. And this one, the Praktica L series, was launched in 1969, and then they made a million of different variants. So you had more basic ones with a stop-down metering. You also had a very interesting one with full aperture metering with electric contacts between the lens and the camera that you would see here. And they got a patent on this because it was worldwide the first ever camera with electric communication between the lens and the camera body, also in 1969. And as it used to work in the Eastern economy, they didn't get money for their patents, but they instead offered the patents to, for example, Japanese companies, and then they got like integrated circuits or electronic components that they couldn't produce themselves in Eastern Germany to use them for their own products. So as you can see, though, even though people kind of tend to smile about Eastern European technology, it was in some respects really advanced. Only the manufacturing quality is a little bit basic, because the tooling and the machinery that we were using basically was still going back to the 1930s, 40s. There was never a lot of money to invest for a completely new tooling or machines or other production methods, so they had to be pretty ingenious to come up with cameras like this. You see this chrome plating? It really looks like metal that has been chromed, but these are made from plastic. They had a special patent, a special process that enabled them to chrome plastic in a way that it really looks like metal. Very good job. Actually, I bought this camera in a thrift store in Tilburg in the Netherlands, and the reason was I spent a weekend in Tilburg, which I do more often, but I didn't bring a camera. And then I all of a sudden had an opportunity to take photos for a couple of hours without a camera, so I thought, let's go to a thrift store. They have a very nice thrift store in the city center, the Vielerlei, and I needed a camera that I could immediately use. So when you're shopping for old cameras, you very often find nice opportunities, but often these cameras have something that you have to fix first. Very common is sticky long shutter speeds, or the light seals, for example, around the film door are gone, something like that. And the Praktica has some really good advantages. For example, it doesn't have light seals. There is not these foam inserts anywhere. It's just a design of ridges, metal ridges, which works very well. There's one seal patch around here that you can check very easily. And the other thing is, you just the long shutter speeds, I just checked them. The camera worked flawlessly. And it was cheap, came with its size lens, all for 35 euros, so who could say no? There's a sticker on it, you see it here. So it was sold by Gerard Eijsbouts in Aalsmeer. That's a very nice small town just southwest of Amsterdam. And these cameras were made, the Super TL1000 variant, it was made between 1980 and 84. So that's where it presumably was sold originally in Aalsmeer. So kudos to Gerard Eijsbouts. I googled the story of this photo store. And apparently he had a very well-known store there, and also famous for his 1-hour developing service of films. He also offered services as a photographer, but he seems to be not very sure about his own photography, because he rather would send people away saying like, if you want wedding photos, I don't want to be the guy who's ruining your best day, so maybe you find another photographer. So also apparently a very honest guy. So kudos to Gerard Eijsbouts and his family. And as you see, this camera is still in good hands. So when you shoot this camera, you really find in the end that it's a very well thought out camera. These guys really knew what to do. There's a lot of nice details. Like for example, you take a shot and then inside the viewfinder there appears a little black arrow in your viewfinder image, and it reminds you to wind the film before you take the next shot. I really like that detail. I also love that you can use all sorts of batteries in contrast to many Japanese cameras that really depend on a very specific voltage. Again, I just can assume that the Eastern German people, they knew it is hard to always come up with the right battery. They're always in short supply there. So they figured out a way that the camera can take all sorts of different batteries. Also very ingenious. So overall, my impression of this camera is very, very positive. I really like these cameras, even though they are clunky and loud. And this loud and clunky shutter also means it's maybe not the best to take photos on a tripod at a 60th or a 30th of a second, because then you get all this clunkiness going on that really can maybe blur your shot. But apart from that, I find them very nice in the hand and a very unobtrusive companion for your photography. That's it about the Praktica. I hope you liked this and found it useful. My next videos are more gonna focus again on analog stuff. I want to show you some of the current analog films that I'm shooting. This one was Agfa APX 100, but normally I prefer more the fine-grained films like Ilford Delta 100, Kodak T-Max 100 or Fuji Acros. So that's what I'm gonna focus on in my next videos. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, of course. It's a great help, and many thanks already to all you guys who did subscribe and help me grow my channel. Also, if you found this useful, don't forget to leave a like. If you've got any question or comment, just write something in the comment section below. I love to read all your comments and I will answer every single one of them. So I see you hopefully in the next video. Goodbye.